And we are live. Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, your much maligned host. I'm joking. And I'm joined by the lovely Novaheart.
Hello.
Yeah. Who is I think you're one of the newer people over in the fellow Substachia, so to speak.
I've been here a year
Or
and
so,
a half.
okay, but in our little fellowship, you're one of the newer
Very
faces.
new.
Yeah. Um, which is really, really funny because you've been here about as long as I have, and you've not yet had quite the luck that I have had. But we're going to hopefully change that because the fortunate should help the less fortunate. Or at least this is the Catholic mentality some of us have. Um, because the ladder shouldn't be pulled up on people. It should be we lift people up the ladder. So uh, now I'm going to ask you, why do you write?
My family's like really into art. Like my entire family is like painters and musicians. And I can paint and I can play, but I can definitely write. So that's one I kind of stuck
Wow.
with as my art.
Wow. So you can paint and sing and whatnot. Wow. I'm impressed. What got you into writing?
Just I really liked reading books as a kid and just started writing my own adventures.
Hmm. Okay. How's about, can I ask now, what got you into fantasy? Why are you even writing this genre?
My mom had all these fantasy books. They were, I don't know if you've heard of them. They are called the Enchanted World. And they have all these different stories in them. And the way were written was like they were actually written like a fantasy, but a nonfiction. So it seemed like these witches and wizards were real. And I really just enjoyed those books. And she also read a lot of Anne McCaffrey books and just had a lot of fantasy stuff around the house. And so I just kind of grew up with it. And that just got me really into the whole thing.
Okay. Sorry about this. It's just the rain over here is dreadful and it's wrecking my internet connection. All
Oh,
right. So can I ask? Um, so let's see if I can get back on. All right, good. Um, so, oh, real quick, we have someone asking, "How are you?"
I am well. How are you?
Yeah. Um, so when you can I ask, just to start with, uh, of all the characters you're writing, who's your favorite?
I would have to pick my main character from the original book, which is Klaatu, because he was kind of the main focus. I haven't released book one. That's kind of a thing I'm keeping back. So he's definitely goes through a lot of psychological trauma and growth in book one. So he's kind of my favorite. And he's kind of the first lizard character I really focused on.
Lizard.
Yes, the
Well,
Shalvasan.
I'm not going to get into how you copy, or did I copy you? Because I think you said it dates back to 2013 for you.
Yeah.
Um, but favorite fantasy character of all times?
Like out of anything.
Yeah.
Oh, Lady Amalthea from The Last Unicorn. I really liked her character, if that counts as a character.
Great choice. I love Amalthea. That unicorn, like, I was obsessed with her in college. Like, I'm serious. Did you ever read the comic?
I almost bought the comic. I saw the graphic version of it, and I was like, but it was expensive, so I didn't buy it.
Oh yeah, it is. Whereas I in college said, I'm basically going to be eating cup noodles for a month, but worth it. And got it and the novel, and it was just, oh man. I originally didn't intend to read that thing, but it just somebody else got it for my birthday or Christmas, my mother, and I just I'm gonna prove I don't like. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. You're like, I'll prove it to her. It's Oh my gosh, this is some of the best literature I've ever read.
I love how she's totally not bothered with the prince at all. Doesn't care.
Yeah, well, it's because she's not really human, and like when she does start to fall in love with him, the human is winning out over the unicorn.
Oh, for
But
the
when she
unicorn,
becomes the unicorn, like something is lost, and it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. I would have liked it if Beagle had kept the rights, but he lost the rights to his own book at some
I
point
know.
and couldn't continue writing for a long time in his stories. Imagine the expanded universe we could have had.
Right?
Yeah, like, oh man. So, someone asked you, who is your favorite character from Lord of the Ring? Right, from Lord of Bones. Oh,
I have just gotten the book. I haven't read it yet, so I can't give a favorite yet.
Okay. I like the dwarf, but I like dwarves, so I'm a little biased. But okay, favorite fantasy movie now of all times.
Is it bad to say like Lord of the Rings or Star
Why would it
Wars?
be?
Like
No,
those are
no,
like the
those are
big
great.
ones.
No, they're
I
great
really
too.
do like the Narnia series is pretty good. Evil Dead series is very good. And of course The Last Unicorn. If cartoons can count.
Oh, they do. Absolutely. Isn't that fantasy?
Yes.
Like, I mean, Beauty and the Beast is fantasy. Lion King is. So
Yeah.
it counts.
It counts.
Okay. Which Star Wars movie?
Ooh. Definitely either 4, 5, or 6. I like the old school ones.
I'm up for the prequels. They're better in my eyes.
Ooh.
I like deep lore, political dramas, and tragedies. So, you know, and I just think they're well put together movies and novels because
Yes.
they came out as novels, and I like that they're faithful adaptations. Well, Episode 4 is such a solid movie. You can't really complain about it, and you have to love it. But okay, so what about how do I put it? When it comes to what is your favorite part about writing fantasy?
Basically, I don't have to follow any rules. I can invent things and I'm not bound by reality. I can literally do anything. And that's what I like about it.
Okay. So, all right. So let's see. Well, we're just blazing through questions, so I'm starting to run out. When it comes to world building, character creation, and whatnot, which of these sort of things do you like most?
Like, what do I like to do? Because I'm not a plotter.
Okay.
I just go by the seat of my pants. I usually get inspired by something that I've either read or seen or in video games, and I'd be like, ooh, I could like take that aspect and then put it into my own thing. And then I just go from there. Like, if you asked me how the Crown of Blood and Ashes ends, I have no idea.
Okay. The opposite of Crown of Blood, where I knew where it'd end, but then I had to cut it in half because the damn thing got too long.
Yeah, the Chronicles of Shalvasan, I got to like a natural like ending point, and I was so sad when I wrote the last book, and I was like, I have to end it. Like, this is it, just ended, and I was so upset. So then I started the Crown of Ashes and Blood as to kind of keep those characters alive and going for me.
Okay. So What is it about the mainstream you think that they just can't seem to get fantasy right? How come they don't seem to understand the genre, basically?
I don't really look at a lot of mainstream fantasy because I'm not interested in it. I like the older stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Probably they just, I don't know. They just don't stay true to it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
They kind of, it's just, it's all for, if there's all for another reason, like consumerism, or there's something else driving what they're doing. It's not about the actual fantasy. It's more about how can we make money off of this? How can we get merchandise for this? How can we do other things for this rather than just focusing on building something actually really, really good? They're just trying to pump things out. That's how it feels, anyways. So I'm just not really interested. So I don't really pay much attention to the new stuff coming out.
Okay. So, in your view, the mainstream's just obsessed with this product that they can package and
Yeah.
whatnot. And
Like you see movies coming
they,
out, bang, 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 bang in series. It's not like you wait 7 years and then another one comes out. It's like they're every year another one's coming out.
I can't keep track of it all. I've
They're not
stopped
taking
trying
their
to keep.
time.
No, it's like, I'll be honest, I've not even caught up on stuff since like post like last one I've kept track of was How I Met Your Mother, which ended in
Yeah.
what, 2014, and after that it's just everything so fast. It's just I remember like me and my entire D&D club in uni, we tuned out. We just couldn't keep up. It
Right?
was so fast. We just said, I can't keep up. Let's just go read the old D&D or Lord of the Rings stuff. Like, there's too much. Slow
Yeah.
down. And yeah, oh, we've got Black Knight commenting, persons full of hate and delusion cannot create anything meaningful and inspirational. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Or they're rehashing stuff
that
that's already been created and then redoing it.
yeah, that is why they create multiplies at best boredom and at worst depression. Yeah. Um, so I guess in the subversion versus non-subversion, you're falling in with the non-subversion.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of I'm very curious about your thoughts on this. Dan, whom is my partner for Brothers Screen because he's my brother, uh, has a phrase: "You can only subvert the trope so much before you become the new trope." So that the most subversive thing an author can do now is basically to be traditional and write
Right?
in a more traditional mold. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree with that.
Um, Novaheart is falling. I disagree, Monami. Falling? Say she is flying. Oh,
I'm
yeah, she
flying?
is. I have no idea what he means.
I don't know either.
Um, long hair. Um, yeah, sometimes there's idioms and whatnot that I can't catch on. English slang keeps changing. I can't keep up. Um, I, sorry, I'll just say you Anglophones are incomprehensible sometimes. Um, I don't say that from a place of hatred. I just find I'm an Anglophile, but I find it confusing. Um, but it's more the North Americans and the Australians who are confusing to me, while those from Great Britain I can at least get a hold of mentally. I can understand them
Yeah.
to a point. I can't understand any of their some of their dialects or any of their idioms, but I can understand them a little better. But why do you think? Do you think some of this failure on the mainstream's part is on purpose or just sheer incompetency?
Incompetency.
Oh,
I would
why is
just
that?
say, just because I said they're not they don't care about the product, or they don't care about what they're making. They just care about the profit.
Mm.
And I get very irritated about a lot of these movies that were made back, I don't even know, like 20, 30 years ago, being redone and corrected, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Black.
Come up with your own original own original thought, you know?
And schlock. That's what you're originally going to say. But okay. Now, I will ask, what is, and this is a new question I've not asked anyone else before, but this is just because of something you said. What does fantasy mean to you?
Fantasy is, I mean, when I think of fantasy, I think of like dragons and elves and castles and magical powers and things like that. That's usually what I think of. So my writing's not 100% fantasy. It's more fantasy and sci-fi.
Okay. Why meld them together?
Because they needed some technology. I feel like I feel like fantasies. I'm very traditional with fantasy, like it's medieval times. You know, there's no electricity, kind of like way back in the day. But so I needed sci-fi because I wanted to add in spaceships and a whole alien race.
So like Final Fantasy?
They needed to kind of, I guess you could say that. I'm inspired by a lot of video games. I play a lot of video games.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, so this is a surprise to me. It's just I like some of the Final Fantasy, like number 10 and 6, but I don't know what that says about me, but usually with fantasy I tend to think of it as almost divorced from sci-fi. In a way. Like sci-fi looks to the future and says progress, the future.
Yeah.
Whereas fantasy looks to the past and, reacts with like a hissing cat at technology, urbanization, and just like modernity. And I don't know what you think of that sort of thinking.
No, I agree with that.
I guess, yeah, okay. It's just I tend to think sometimes sci-fi is modernity extended, which is a thought that horrifies me, while fantasy is myth.
Yes.
Like, you ever watch Gargoyles from the 90s? It was a time of myth what was it? It was a time when superstition and the sword ruled and whatnot, which I don't know. That sounds romantic to me, but there's also Legendary Journeys where it says it was a time of myth and legend. That seems like fantasy to me.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay. Sort of. What are you trying to achieve with your fantasy fiction? And by that I mean like
to be published.
Well, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. But like in terms of like what sort of fantasy is it? Like cozy? Is it English fantasy? Is it centered around the idea of like a Hungarian fantasy? Is it Scandinavian? So on.
It's more the hero with a quest, kind of a fantasy. That's how I kind of placed it. We have our main hero, and he's trying to defeat evil, and that's the fantasy part about it for me, anyways. So I guess maybe I'm not as fantasy. I might be more sci-fi.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so you said there's a blend of the two. And I always thought that the hero completing the quest is something to both genres. And
but I write it in that traditional way.
Okay.
So like the male hero.
Okay, so do you put more? Actually, that's something I do have to ask. Why a male hero?
Because that seems correct for a fantasy, that the man should be the one, defeating the evil and saving the people and, you know, overcoming everything. Like that just makes sense. That's very traditional to fantasy style.
No girl boss.
No girl boss. There are some strong female characters, but they're definitely not leads.
Okay. Whereas I'll boast of one of my stories having a very weak female lead. But that's a French story where, well, I've got several weak female leads I'll boast of. I just know that's going to anger some, but you know, like you need a balance. I've got some weak male leads, but it's only wrong if you remain weak, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think fantasy has had the kind of staying power it has? Like, why do people care about this genre?
Because people like to escape from reality.
But is that a good thing?
It is a good thing.
Why is that?
Because of the world and the way it is, and just the daily grind, and people just need something to put themselves into. It's kind of why I like video games, especially RPGs, because I get to play as the hero and do the quests and save the town, and you feel good, you know? It's a good feeling. So it's better than just going to work and going to school and grind.
Why? What RPGs are your favorites?
Oh, God. Do you have
No,
time?
don't ask me. What?
Do you have time? It's a long list. I mean, I love the Dragon Age series, Horizon Zero Dawn series, Baldur's Gate was really good, The Witcher, Fable, Myst series,
Fable and
Abduction.
Fable 3. You ever play Fable Lost Chapters?
No, just the first one.
It's better than it's an expanded version of the first one. You ever want to kill a dragon in there? Well,
yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Dragon Age Origins or Dragon Age 2? Which do you prefer?
Ooh, a lot of people did not like 2.
I prefer
didn't.
number 2.
Really? A lot of people didn't like it. I like all of them. I can't really pick a favorite. Inquisition was really fun. I really like that one. And
too deconstructive.
Ah.
Too more.
Well, then you won't like the new one because it kind of comes off of Inquisition.
Yeah. Origins and number 2 that's it. After that, they start contradicting themselves and whatnot. That I like Meryl and Hawk and Anders. So, like, just give me nothing but them. I don't want anyone else. Go off with your rest of your franchise. Just, you know, I want to see these guys. I want to know what happens to them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, you prefer Origins?
I mean, I like them all. I can't really pick a favorite. My most favorite one would be the one that just came out. Because you get a griffin.
Yeah, but I mean,
there were aspects about it I didn't like, but I liked that one. It was fun.
I'm kind of giving you a hard time.
You are.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? You ever played Suikoden?
No.
Oh, you'd love it. The original is now available, I think, with a remastered edition with the second one. Most of the other games are. This is a game they should never have turned into a series because it was perfect self-contained, and the later ones all wrecked the story in some way or other. But the first game was just this perfect masterpiece that's as tragic as Children of Hurin.
Oh.
And like Dark Souls is not dark compared to this. This is like this is like so beyond tragic that I've seen grown men break down crying when playing it. It's just oof.
Doesn't sound like a fun game.
It is actually quite fun. It's deep. You know what I mean? It's like like Breaking Bad, except in fantasy or something. So it's like you play it the first time, you're like, you got to replay it immediately so you can understand it better, and replay it a third or fourth time, and then you start to grasp at the layers and the depth and the ideas, and it's Oh, okay.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but what about Final Fantasy? Ever play any
I'm
of
a
those?
huge fan of 8, and I really liked 14 online. Was really fun.
Mhm.
I did play a bit of 10, but I was like, nah.
Okay. I like number 10 for the tragedy.
Yeah. I really liked 8. 8 was my favorite, and it's not a popular opinion.
8, I'll say, okay, I'll give my thoughts on that in a moment. Number 10 is good because Orin, Yuna, and Titus have this great bond between them,
Mm-hmm.
um, which can only end in tragedy,
Yeah.
which, because, like that last scene, that's tragic. Number 6, I think, is the best objectively. It's not my favorite, but it's one of those, it's the objective best story.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's a favorite, it's just you can recognize none of the other games ever equaled the story. Shrug. Eh. Um, but number 8, I'm gonna say uh, the strength of it was Squall. The weakness of it was every other character. And what I mean by that is, for one thing, there were certain problems with the plot. Cypher was a great character, but you have certain characters like Renoa, uh, Irvine. They're just pointless. Even Quistis to an extent. But the thing is, I'd argue in Kingdom Hearts they really perfected Squall.
Yeah, I like
You know what I
Kingdom
mean?
Hearts. That was fun.
Yeah, I like that. I just like that he's presented as this uber competent um, guy who gets the job done and knows all this stuff. And the second when he comes back, he's even more competent and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And that's like, yeah, that I like that. And I also think Leon is a better name, but but he's a massively underrated character. And I think the thing is, there's a reason he's the breakout character from the game, and that even if most people don't like FF8, like I don't know what you think of this, but I can stomach that, but I don't like I really like Squall. So like I can tolerate if people dislike the game, but I find it hard to forgive them disliking Squall. Well, I have to forgive them, but like you know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, but you have to admit Squall's a great character. So
Yeah,
that's
Squall's pretty
at least
awesome.
yeah. But how many FFs is the main character the best character? Not
I
many.
don't know. Not many. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like you've got Terra, who's the best character in FF6. Um, FF7, I'd argue Vincent's the breakout
Yeah,
character.
Vincent. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like Cloud is boring as hell.
Oh yeah.
Um, oh yeah, it's like he's basically a boring version of Terra. If I want
I
to see
like his
Terra, I'll
blade
just play
though.
FF. Yeah, he's got a nice sword.
Yeah, he's got a nice
Hell,
sword.
he's overshadowed by his love interest, Aerith,
Yeah.
who's much more interesting. Cloud, I'd argue, is more interesting in Kingdom Hearts, where he has Sora to bounce off of.
Yeah.
And then you have FF8, Squall. FF9 is not really breakout. Um, FF10, I would argue the weird thing is it's a trio of characters who seem to break out. Contrary to popular belief, Titus did break out in a lot of ways. Yuna,
Just
Orin,
because of
that was a weird.
Yuna.
Yeah. Yuna really was a breakout character. Then they did
Mm-hmm.
everything they could to neuter the character and destroy her
Yeah.
in the sequel. But yeah, it's like usually it's not the main character who breaks out. It's either the
Mm-hmm.
villain or a side character, and what have you. But FF8 truly the lead is the most breakout character. Um, okay, so um, you're obviously, from what I can tell, a lot more knowledgeable of RPGs than I am, because you mentioned a bunch that I have never even heard of
What?
when I first asked about RPGs. Well, I've heard of Dragon Age, but mention some of your other favorites, and I'll just.
Uh, Skyrim. You have to know Skyrim.
I've heard the name.
Oh my god. uh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
What's that?
Oh my god. You need to do some research.
Okay. Well, I should probably at some point in my life play Skyrim, but I've never played even a minute of it.
Dragon's Dogma,
Oh, I think I've heard of that one.
The Witcher,
Witcher, I've heard of.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate, I've played a little bit in Game Overed.
The old one or the new one?
The old one. The old one. I know there's the new one, but I've never tried the new one.
The new one's good. I like it.
Okay.
Champions of
Okay.
Norath?
Most people do. Champions of what?
Norath.
Never heard of it.
Okay, you've heard of World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Warcraft is a great game.
Yes.
And franchise up until Cataclysm, which wrecked. That killed it. Like, although I'd argue they should have ended the story with the fall of the Lich King.
Yeah.
Because like we don't care after Arthas. Like he was what sucked us all in. After Arthas said, "What do we care?" But it became a cash cow, like you had said it before.
It did.
Like
it's all about the money, not about the quality.
What were your thoughts on the Warcraft movie from a few years ago?
I didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Not interested?
There's also the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I also have not seen.
Good choice.
Right? That's kind of why I didn't see the other one. I'm just I'm like, nah, not interested. They're going to wreck it.
So with movies, you're not, you have no faith in Hollywood and whatnot.
Not anymore.
When did you first get disappointed in them?
I don't know. Last 10 years or so.
Yeah, that seems like the case. Like everybody around between 2013 and 2015 is just, okay, they can't do it anymore.
It's over.
Yeah. Pull the plug. C'est fini. Okay. I'll actually ask. I'm curious. What era of fantasy movies outside? I know there's Lord of the Rings, but like which decade of fantasy films is your favorite? Out of curiosity.
Give me a decade.
80s,
like
90s,
the 70s,
2000s.
70s, 80s, 70s, 80s.
Why?
Because they didn't have technology that everything wasn't done with like a green screen or fake. They had to use real explosives. It was all real talent to make those things really happen, and they don't do that anymore. So when you see something spectacular on screen, it's fake. When you see something blow up, they had one shot to get that amazing scene, and like that was real. That was reality. So that's just way better.
I think there's some smaller indie productions and fan films that on YouTube that kind of do it the old school way, but I've not.
I probably like those then.
Okay, I found one a few years ago that was French and it did all that stuff in the way you describe it. It felt like an 80s dark fantasy thing. Then they screwed the pooch with the ending, but okay, I'd say the 80s and 90s for me. Like I like Dragonheart, Merlin. You ever see those 90s Hallmark fantasy movies? Oh, they were good. Odyssey, Kingdom, Merlin, 98. My gosh, that movie was so good. But then you got with the 80s Conan the Barbarian, Dragon Slayer, and all these great films and whatnot. What would you say is the best medium for fantasy?
I really like video games.
That's fair.
And then if we're not going like that, then I say books.
Okay. Video games is fair. I've got a few friends who are like video games are better for it. And because there's certain possibilities and whatnot. And the person can become an active part of it. But I also know one business guy who said that video games is just easier to produce because you don't have to print it and there's not that cost whatnot. And because he runs his own publishing company and he's like, sort of, he runs a magazine and he's just like, you got no idea the production stress and whatnot. We got to print it. We got to send. There's all these problems with it. And, he's like, because he started to move towards video game production, he's saying people could just click the download
Yeah.
and whatnot. And this makes it easier. And marketing is just done online. And, it's like he's got quite a few thoughts on it from a production and distribution standpoint, which is very fascinating because everything with video games is done on computers now. From distribution to programming to even the downloading aspect. So now we're going to get to the scary part of this interview. So I'm going to mute my mic in a minute, give you the floor or the camera, I should say. So I'm going to ask you, tell me about your world in the utmost detail.
Oh. Okay. Well, the planet
I,
Shalvasan.
I was only going to say, when you're done, let me know.
Okay. I'll probably be done fairly quickly because I'm rather nervous being on camera and definitely being live. But the planet Shalvasan is a real planet in space. You can actually find it. It's in the Andromeda Galaxy. I had to find a planet that could contain life. Of course, this one doesn't. Well, so they say. But it does have 2 suns in the sky. They're a lot bigger and brighter than what I've written them as. I write them more as like orange and red, kind of more dying suns, rather than what they actually are, which is very bright stars. So then we've got the planet Shalvasan, and like people think this planet could either be in real life, either a sand desert, or an ice ball. And so I decided to go with the sand desert option and named the planet Shalvasan, which I took from the word Savasana, which is the corpse pose. I just like that word and made it into the word Shalvasan for my planet and my lizard creatures. And we've got the big planet with 2. We've got the north. So north, we're going to have Kasaki, which has got a canyon, oasis, and a big underground spring where water comes up. And that's actually where life on the planet started, where the Kasaki people are. And they're more of like a green lizard humanoid. And then near Kasaki, because of the water, is Seraphim, which is the big, big city, which has got all the technology. It's got the Clutch Queens. It's got Emerald District with the collectors. It kind of looks like maybe a really old Baghdad with like the stone houses and stuff like that. But then it's got lots of technology like holographics and the flying ships and everything in there. And then if you go to the south, kind of opposite side of the planet, you've got Kanar. And the way you can tell Kanar is there's a huge rock jutting out of it called Claw Spire. And that is where Sekhiroth's Citadel is. Now it is Kaspar's Citadel if you're reading the whole series. And Kanar is very much not into the whole techie thing of Seraphim, and they don't really like rules. So it's very much survival of the fittest. They're always fighting with one another. They've got one ruler, and then they've got kind of like, I guess you say makeshift camps around that area. And then there's some water coming from Kasaki all the way down to their part, but it's just a trickle. So that's kind of how they get their water. So that's pretty much the whole planet. You've got like the 3 main spots, Kasaki, Seraphim, and Kanar. And then you've got Marauders kind of in between. I also talk about assault flats in one area, kind of like mapping more things out as I kind of go. Because like I said, I am not a plotter. But I do have those 3 major cities plotted out and how they kind of work. And yeah, that's as much detail as I think I can give at the moment.
All right. Let's see. Okay, good. Which, all right. That is still quite a bit of detail. Um, okay. Uh, one, I think there's still two more questions. Um, uh, for one thing, which Substack fiction writers are your favorites?
Ooh. That's going to be a long list, but I was trying to like go through my people on my Substack that I really like that are like, because I thought the question was like fantasy writers. And I like a lot of fiction writers that aren't necessarily fantasy. So obviously Nick Richards and his Traneth Argan series is amazing. He's got, I think, 6
Oh, good
books
choice.
in that series. And
I love
his writing reminds me of Lord of the Rings. It's just very old
Mm,
school. Like he's definitely a
but
fantasy
Celtic,
writer.
but Celtic. There's
Yeah,
something like almost Irish or Welsh about it, and it's like this is so damn Celtic.
I know. It's so
And
good.
mm,
And he does philosophy stuff too, which I also like. Travis Knight,
mm,
he's got his Bingo Killer series, which I don't think is really fantasy, but he's got Moonium, another series, um, which has got this thing that's supposed to like save Earth, but it starts conflict, and that's a really good series. Olivia Barr, she's got her Arwen Rising series. She's really good. I haven't had a chance to read a lot of it, just a few chapters. Most people I've only read like a few chapters because time constraints.
yeah,
Sam Leibel, I think his last name is
mm-hmm.
Leibel. And his
Something.
Ethel the Bastard series is pretty good. Um,
Mm,
Derek James and his Burning Angels, it's pretty good.
mm-hmm.
You, of course, you have like a historical fantasy style. I really like you like really research things and you like I kind of learn from your writing when I read it. But again, I've only read a small amount. Brothers Crin, of course, I love all of his stuff. Black Knight, Blood and Frost, Province of Terrans, and
Lord of Bones.
Lord of Bones, and then Mandate of Sword and Railgun. I'm so sorry, Black Knight. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. A
Well,
Mandate of Sword and Railgun.
uh,
Yes.
sword and rail gun. Yeah. Um,
He's got
of
so
course, he's
much
here.
on his stack. It's
Yeah,
so
I
much.
know.
So I'm trying to remember. Um, and just I guess other people I really like on there, like Bradley Ramsey. I love all his work
Mm,
on there. TP Kaus and Rachel Tribble are pretty cool. And Dan Katz. I really like Dan.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's a
his
pretty
Waters of
extensive.
Atonement is really good. You should read that one.
Oh, I'll have to come around to it. I'm about to get back to reading Terai Judina and Red Oscar, who I put aside for a few months. Red is just very, very deep, um, but there's so much lore in there, and uh, it's like reading, like the Dragon Slayer movie novelization. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it had a lot of lore, and it's like reading that, the tone, the themes, the lore like that, but also reading like Tad Williams at the same time. It's like the two styles melded together. So you're left with a lot of lore and details, and um, him and well, Terai Judena, you might like her. Her style, she writes mostly like traditional Christian romanticy stuff, but like when you're reading it, it feels like you're reading like a written version of Miyazaki.
Okay.
Um, so like her male characters and female characters really remind me of a Miyazaki film character. Like you're like, they talk like them, they feel like them, and it's like, damn, this is like Miyazaki. But she's never seen a single Miyazaki film
Oh,
in her entire life, and it's like,
What a
how that
coincidence.
hell, what a coinky dink. How did you ever get that style? Because I tried asking her a few questions and she's like, what? What's that? And it's like, well, you ever see Howl's Moving Castle? What's that? And it's like,
What?
uh, what do you think of Sophie? What do you think of this line of hers? Oh, that's a nice line. Which movie is it from? Howl's Moving Castle. Oh, okay. It's like no, like, complete blank slate. I've tried telling her, why don't you watch this stuff? Well, I don't know. And it's like you can really tell she has no idea when you're asking her about Miyazaki, but she writes like him. And
Interesting.
it's a very, yeah, it's very, very interesting. Um, as for myself, I gotta get back to writing certain stories in French and continuing Darkspire and Gemstone at some point. Um, but all right, uh, hopefully, we'll get you back on for another podcast down the road if you'd like.
Perhaps. I'm also sorry if I
Okay.
missed anybody for mentioning works that I like, because I like a lot of people on here.
Yeah, there's too many to keep count of.
There's too many.
And I'll be honest, it's why I rely on Dave to keep track of everyone in the fantasy ship, because it's just the list got so long eventually. It's like, my gosh, there's a deep lore just to this group,
To be honest,
and I'm not
I do have a list of subscribers that I'm like, okay, I like them, and this book and this book. I have to keep like their name and their work next to it, because I'm like, who wrote that, and then go back, because it's a lot. It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I'll be honest, I'm planning to go back and reread the first bit of Train of Argon soon, so that because I want to read book 2, but I've forgotten everything, so I got to reread and whatnot. And it
Book
gives me an
one.
excuse to read. Yeah, well, it's also because I like Kyra, so
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to read more Kyra, so I got to go back and reread.
I was really stupid and I started his series in book 4 and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I like this. And then I was like, oh,
Go
I
back
was
to book
reading.
1.
Yeah, I went back to book 1 and read like the first 4 chapters. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to get the feel of it.
I also, wow. Well, I'll just remind people to check out Novaheart. She's a very talented, very skilled, and knowledgeable young lady and author. And that
Oh.
when it comes to knowing RPGs, I'm left in the dust, scratching my head, confused. So there, I imagine it probably reflects in her stories. So do remember to subscribe to her. Follow the link. It'll be in the comments section on YouTube when I finally repost this to the Brothers Crin YouTube channel. And over on Substack, it'll be down below. Do check her out and all that jazz. So until next time, Apti Tal.